Today on The Big Story, shopping across the causeway, more cashless options as Nets ups its number of payment points in Malaysia. With the general election possibly drawing close, some new voting processes that Singaporeans can expect. It's indeed TGIF, crazy deals and overnight queues for Black Friday. Find out more. It's Friday, 5:30 p.m. here in Singapore, and you're watching The Big Story, where we'll discuss the top news of the day and explain why it matters. I'm Haryanto Diman, reporting to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. Singaporeans who shop in Malaysia, besides credit cards and other cashless payments, you can now use your Nets ATM cards at various locations. More than 7,400 Nets payment points are now active across tourist and retail hotspots in Johor Bahru, Malacca, Kuala Lumpur and Penang. When Nets and its Malaysian counterpart PayNet piloted the project last November, they started with 4,500 points in Johor Bahru. Nets says that payments will not incur any currency conversion fees and users will enjoy competitive exchange rates. Now, to tell us more, we have journalist Lester Wong. Welcome, Lester.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now, Lester, there are so many different modes of cashless payment nowadays. You know, we have debit and credit cards, not to mention even QR codes like you have your GrabPay, Alipay, and there is Apple Pay as well, you know. How does Nets compare with these other modes of payments? You know, why would shoppers still choose to use Nets?
So I think the biggest upshot of Net's new cross-border payment service is that there are a lot of Singaporeans with a Nets card, probably more so than people with a certain amount of credit cards or debit cards. So I think, as you just said, the cashless payment landscape is notoriously fragmented.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just going to be the case that there are going to be a lot more people with a Nets debit card than there are for any given Alipay or GrabPay or Apple Pay.
Yeah, and why then would shoppers choose to still go with Nets?
So Nets has promised that they're going to offer a rather competitive exchange rate.
Okay.
But I think as far as shoppers go, I mean, the easiest way is for you to go and find out for yourself. So just go to somewhere in Malaysia, try out a Nets payment point. Because it's mandatory in Malaysia that for all transactions with using forex currency, the exchange rate has to be printed on the receipt. So I mean, that's the easiest way for you to find out.
Right, so to experience it for yourself, really, right? You know, for the benefit of our viewers, of course, who are watching, what are some of the popular shops or malls that they can use Nets at? And also, are there any plans to roll out to other places as well?
So there are currently 7,400 Nets acceptance points in Malaysia. So this is up from 4,500 that was announced last year that was restricted to JB. So now the points are in Penang, they're in KL, and they're also in Malacca. So there are popular shopping malls like Makota Parade in Malacca, Sunway Pyramid in KL, as well as KL International Airport, and Queens Bay Shopping Mall in Penang. So these are all, as I understand, pretty big and popular shopping spots.
Right, and I understand that it's going to be rolled out in Thailand as well as early as next year.
This one is a separate initiative. So this one is for QR payments, and it could be expected as early as sometime next year in Thailand.
Okay.
And after that, I mean, Net's plan is to expand further into the region.
Okay. Now, when it comes to overseas transactions, I think many are concerned with card security. You know, so how's Nets doing in this department?
So I don't have that many details about this. I mean, all Nets told me is that they are investing significantly into security. I mean, it is a paramount concern for most consumers and for payment providers these days. But obviously, you have to pay a premium for good security, and that's the balance that Nets they need to straddle. Because I mean, you want to keep your payment service affordable and convenient as well.
Yeah. Now, thank you, Lester, again for sharing more on this. Now, to read more, you can visit our website at straitstimes.com. Now, moving on to our second segment, with the general election looming ahead, voters can expect a number of changes introduced by the Elections Department or ELD. Now, here are some of them. Changes include self-inking pens that allow voters to stamp an X with minimal pressure to indicate the party of their choice, and new polling booths made largely from cardboard and other recyclable materials. The ELD will hold roadshows ahead of the next general election to familiarise voters with the new equipment. Now, to explain more about these new changes, we have political correspondent Lynette Lai. Welcome, Lynette.
Hello.
So, Lynette, if you could share with us more on these changes, what do we have first?
So first we have this self-inking stamp.
Okay.
Basically, if you voted before, you remember that at the polling booth there is a regular pen, and now they're replacing this with a stamp where you just press it down on the paper and an X will appear.
Right, and why is this change necessary?
What the elections department said today is that some old people have given feedback that they have trouble gripping the pen,
Okay.
and also sometimes people tend to write things. For example, they write their IC number, and that makes the vote invalid. So this overcomes some of those problems.
Okay, and apart from the pen, there is also the elections booth, the election booth as well. Something that is a bit more eco-friendly. A bit more on that as well.
Yeah, so that's actually a prototype that's been designed by students from the Singapore Institute of Technology. We won't see it, so the pens will be at all the polling booths, but for this prototype booth, we'll only see it at maybe one GRC and two SMCs, and it's made of cardboard mostly. We saw it today, it's quite stable, quite heavyweight, and it's wheelchair friendly as well.
Right. And why was there a change, to include this new election booth?
Well, it's significantly cheaper than what we have now. So what we have now, I believe it's made of metal. It costs about $750, and that's not including the storage cost between elections.
Right.
Whereas this new booth costs $30, so it's really much cheaper.
Much cheaper, and of course eco-friendly as well.
Yes, that's right.
And the most important aspect of it, the voting machine. Any changes to that as well in terms of voting machine?
So this round, what we're going to see is that they'll have electronic vote counting machines. So it's something like what you see in money changers or at banks where they count banknotes. But the votes themselves will be sorted by hand, and then they'll be put into the machines and they'll be counted. It's expected to speed up the whole results by about an hour. So we should hear things like an hour earlier than we would normally used to.
Right. And of course, all these changes, voters will be able to try and practice on them ahead of the election happening next year, right? There'll be roadshows.
Yeah, there'll be roadshows. I think probably as soon as the Electoral Boundaries Review Committee releases its report, the whole thing will start kicking into gear, so people can familiarise themselves with all this.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Lynette, for coming on to share more on this. Now, to read more on the changes, you can read Lynette's article on our website at straitstimes.com. And now let's move on to What's Trending, where Dylan will share with us what's buzzing in the internetverse. Dylan.
Thanks, Haranto. It's time for What's Trending. First up, once known as Party Central in its heyday, St. James Power Station will soon be home to Dyson. The British tech firm is set to move its global headquarters in early 2021. Dyson said it wanted an inspiring place. St. James used to be one of the biggest nightlife hubs here and saw crowds as large as 10,000 on a peak night since it opened in 2006. It was gazetted as a national monument in 2009. Next, veteran local actor-director Ng Ike Leong, better known as Wang Yi-liang, has been charged with assault and affray. He allegedly attacked a man with a metal scraper. Separately, he allegedly disturbed public peace by fighting with another man. Known for his comedic flair, Ng stood out in roles being a foul-tempered husband in Holland V and a gambler in 12 Lotus by filmmaker Royston Tan. Finally, it's Black Friday. No matter how prepared and excited you think you are, you can't beat these shoppers. This is what I'll call commitment. I'll give you another reason why you should be prepared. While it's usually more tame in Singapore, take a look at what has happened elsewhere before. Happy shopping, everyone, but remember, think twice before you swipe that card. That's all for What's Trending today. If you've seen a story you want to share, link it in the comment section below. Back to you, Haranto.
Thanks, Dylan. Now, so are you prepared for Black Friday? Some shoppers made sure they were ahead of the pack, and this is one of the malls with overnight queues. Armed with sleeping bags, tables and foldable chairs, shoppers settled in for a long night outside Robinson's The Heron store to ensure they were ahead of the queue for the Black Friday sale frenzy. When the Straits Times visited the store at 4 p.m. on Thursday, about 50 people were already in line. The most dedicated shopper was 29-year-old Mr. Tan, a financial advisor who started queuing 27 hours before the doors opened. One of the sweet deals? Those who spend at least $8,000 will get a free iPhone 11 Pro Max on a first-come, first-served basis. Now, has Black Friday helped to increase footfall to physical stores? With us to explain the Black Friday craze is journalist Melissa Heng. Welcome, Mel.
Hi.
Now, Mel, if you could start us off, how does the Black Friday frenzy compare to other sales? For instance, the recent 11/11 single sale.
So for Black Friday, it originated in the US, and it's been gaining traction in Singapore over the last 5 years. But in Singapore, it's more focused on brick and mortar stores, right? So these are the queues that you are seeing, stores like Robinsons, Metro, Courts, where there still is sales online, but I think for the bigger players, they do reserve a lot of their bigger discounts and more varied sales for Singles Day.
Right.
Yeah.
And would you say that Singles Day effectively overshadowed Black Friday?
Maybe a little. I think just because Singles Day, it's originated in China by Alibaba, and just because of how big they are and how big a market they have, they kind of generate a lot of hype and a lot of awareness, right? I mean, every year they earn billions of dollars during Singles Day. I think this year they got like 38 billion alone. So it is a very big market lah. But for Black Friday in Singapore, the data does show that it's the second sales day. It comes in second in terms of generating like online traffic.
Right.
So it still, I think, gains like attention from people.
Now, Mel, we saw earlier on in the video, in the clip, snaking views, queues, right? And then we see shoppers running in right now on the clip as well, into these physical stores. And like you mentioned, for Black Friday, it seems to be more veered towards brick and mortar stores. Would you say, the Black Friday sale does prop up retail sale, increase footfall for physical stores, in a way give retail shops a fighting chance, or is retail really dying?
The last question is really big, but
yes.
Okay, so according to data that we've gotten from property consultant CBRE, we do see that on Black Friday on Orchard Road, the sale does attract more footfall. So over the last couple of years, there has been a good percentage of increase of footfall on Black Friday itself along Orchard Road. So I think what we can tell from this is that obviously the sale does attract shoppers to come down and take a look at least. We don't really have the sales figures, but I think it's a sign that shows that people want to shop when there's good discounts lah. I think the sale is a good chance for retailers to put on the best show that they can. Put their best service forward and try and attract as many customers as they can, attract new customers as well, especially when there's a lot of hype and surrounding the day lah.
Whether is retail dying?
Whether or not it's dying, honestly, I think it's evolving and it's changing. I think that we can't really say that it's dying because people are obviously spending, right? It's just where they're spending their money.
Right.
Even if you take into account the economic challenges that we do see in the world now, in Singapore now, people still always need to buy things lah, right? So it's just like where you buy it from and who you buy it from. So I think whoever, for the retailers, whoever can give customers the best deals and the best experience, the best buying experience, these are the companies that are going to attract customers lah.
Yeah. Thanks, Mel, for coming onto the show to share with us a bit more and explain this whole craziness that is the Black Friday sale. Now, from Ion Orchard to Tangs to Metro and many more, get yourself up to speed on all the Black Friday deals. Our live section has a full list of the best deals on straitstimes.com. Now, it's turning out to be an eventful Friday indeed. You may want to check out the Anime Fest as well, starting today at Suntec City. It's happening through the weekend. Now, many cosplayers, both international and local, came out to play. We have a clip for you, so stay on to see the highlights. Once again, I'm Haryanto Diman. Have a good weekend and see you on Monday.